I'm Mariko with Bodyworks Alignment Therapy. Sorry you can't see my face, but I couldn't figure out a way for you to see my face and my feet at the same time. So there we go. All right, in today's video, we are gonna talk about how to care for your feet. You see I have a fun diagram. We'll talk about that later on my foot. How to care for your feet, your calves, and your tib anterior. So this shin muscle right through here. Okay, so first, I want to explain a couple of things. And actually, before we do that, I'm going to turn to the side so you can see this a little bit better, okay? So most people, when they're resting, are typically, how do I show this to you? Okay, there we go. So when they rest, their Achilles tendon tends to get a little compressed because we typically tend to point and flex. Like when we're sitting, that happens a lot and people don't even notice it. So pay attention to the next time you're sitting in your chair. Like, do you flex your foot up like this? Is your foot flat on the ground? Is it rotated in? Is it rotated out? Pay attention to the posture of your ankle when you are sitting and standing, actually, super important. And we'll talk more about standing here in a minute. So this is where my foot lies. I would prefer for it to be here. I'm very, very aware of the posture of my ankles. So I've worked on this quite a bit. Most people are gonna be more like here, like I talked about. So if you've watched any other video before, you know we have to work the overstretched side first, and then we work the compressed side second, okay? So let's get back to here. We are gonna start with getting like a rolling pin. So this is a tool, I got this so long ago, I think maybe at Walmart, I'm not sure. Anyway, it has some nubblies on it. If you prefer like a flat surface, you can just use a rolling pin if you have one, which I don't, so this works great. Okay, so I'm gonna first start, there are two retinacula through here, or whiskey barrel bands as I like to call them. And they kind of hold your ankle together, okay? That's a fascial system. So I'm going to start a little bit below my ankle, like this would be right on top. I'm gonna start a little bit closer towards my toes, and I'm gonna find the tight spot, which is already right there. But you might have to go out or in or up or down, play with that, but already found my tight spot or my hurty spot, however you wanna say that. So then you're just gonna work that, go slowly. Notice I'm not rolling up and down, okay? We're just getting those tight spots and gently moving back. If you can see my hands, they're moving back and forth just a little bit to create enough grab to work the tissue really well, and then also to allow it to release. Sorry, that got really painful for a second. My brain had to go somewhere else. Okay, and then you'll kind of work all the way around and things like that. And then you can take that and roll, and actually, see how my foot's flexed right through here? That's gonna overstretch this tissue, so it's gonna make it really hard to roll it out. So try to get your foot in a supported, or your ankle in a supported position so that your tib anterior can be relaxed and not stretched out, okay? So I'm gonna find good spots. Wow, I've got a lot of knots in here. I did not expect that. And then you're just gonna find the spots, keep rolling up. Try to get the tension out of your shoulders when you're doing this. You don't need to press hard, okay? And then keep going all the way up to your knee, okay? And then eventually you can do the rolling if that feels good. But again, I prefer for you to find the spot, work it out, find the spot, work it out, and then go up, okay? All right, now let's work on the back side. So again, you can use the same tool. Go behind, actually let's go this way so you can see better. Okay, so you're gonna go behind the Achilles tendon, right through there, okay? And then instead of having your arms do the movement, because this is a really awkward position for your upper body, you can really get those shoulders to be overstretched. So instead of having your upper body moving, I want your ankle to do the movement. So here, oh man. And then this is just, your arms are just literally holding it there where it goes. If I rotate in, oh my gosh, that is so painful. If I rotate in, out, and then I'm gonna find, yep, that's a good spot. So then I'm just gonna have my ankle work that tissue. Okay, and then you're gonna do the same thing and go all the way up. I'm gonna move faster just for the sake of moving faster. See where I am at right now? Okay, and then get up through here. And obviously go all the way up to here. An alternative to this, if that puts too much stress on your upper body, which we don't want to stress out other tissue to relax other tissue. So you can lay on it and rock, okay? My foot isn't flexed, it's just relaxed. And then keep going up. Okay, once we get to about here, the calf tends to come out, right? So it has more of a medial side and an external side a little bit. More medial than external typically, but, or lateral. So you might want to rotate your foot in so you can get that. And then you're gonna go all the way up. And now, shoot, you can't see that, hang on. And now you can rotate your foot. Once you've gotten past those really tendinous areas, and rotate. Can you hear my ankle snapping? That's an ankle injury from many years ago. Okay, and then you'll just go all the way up. You can also do this with a foam roller. I don't love the foam roller because I don't feel like it gets me enough detail. I mean, that feels fine, and I feel like it's working it okay, but it's not that finite detail that I really enjoy receiving. But also, it's not as painful. But again, I don't feel like it gets as good of a release. And then, you know, you'll go all the way up to your knee, like that. Okay? Okay, now how to do this stretch, you need to go off the stairs. This is for your calves. The important thing is to go under, have the stair edge right underneath the ball of your foot, okay? So, there we go. Okay, so I've got it right underneath the edge. And I breathe deeply and sink into it. You can do both at the same time, but I feel like that doesn't give me as good of a stretch. So I will just go one at a time. That way I can sink in really deep. Then if you need to get the outside, or the inside, excuse me, point your toes in. If you need to get the outside, point your toes out. But then always end up straight up and down. Okay, for this next one, I'm going to teach you how to manipulate the tissue in your foot so that you can get better blood flow and relieve the tight tissue as much as possible. So if your foot is like really compressed like this, it's going to go up into your calf and then can go up into your hamstrings and glutes and your spine, etc., etc. So really caring for the foundation is super important. Okay, so you can do this one of two ways. I like to have both thumbs on one side and then hand or fingers on the other side. You can do it with fingers and thumb on one side. I prefer the other way because I feel like I get better releases, okay? So you're gonna have one starting up high and one starting out a little bit lower, okay? Do you see where those are? And then you're just gonna go in opposite directions. I'm gonna try to keep my arm out of it as much as possible so you can see. Okay, and then the front of your foot, or the top of your foot, your hands are gonna be doing the same thing. You can probably see that better so you can get an idea. Okay, and then you can even take that up into your ankle. Okay. And it doesn't require a lot of pressure to do this. You can even get your toes a little bit. They're a little trickier to get, but doable. Okay, and let's run through the bottom of the foot a couple more times just to make sure you get that. So there. Okay, one starting up high, the other is going low. Okay, and then you can just do some light little movements. I don't even have lotion on. If this is really painful, you might want to put lotion on, or if it's hard on your hands, a little bit of lotion will go a long way. Get your toes. And in reflexology, you know, your feet and foot zoning, your feet relate to your organs, your joints, I mean, everywhere else on your body, right? So just by doing things like this, that can help stimulate some other parts of your body that you weren't aware of. And actually, just by doing this, I got like a rush of blood up through my head. I think this is the head in reflexology, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm getting a little warm now. That's really interesting, okay? And then just doing some quick movements through here. Do what feels good for your hands and your feet though. Again, it doesn't really matter like how I'm showing you. If you prefer to go slower, great, go slower. And if you prefer the fast, then go fast. And now we get to talk about the fun diagram on my foot, okay? So most people are aware of their medial arch through here. A lot of people aren't aware of their transverse arch, so right below the ball of the foot, and then the lateral arch. Okay, so this creates an almost perfect triangle so that when we plant on the ground, we are fully supported through these three arches, okay? The important thing to note here is when we only focus on this medial arch, it leaves the other two, you know, kind of in the dust, and then we compensate in different ways that we probably aren't even aware of. One of those ways is to rotate out, which, as we talked about several times before in the other videos, how that creates knee problems, hip problems, back problems, etc. Okay, so let's talk about how to work these arches. There are a few things that I need to show you from above, so I'll show you that in just a second. But first, we're doing this with a bouncy ball. As you can see, it's not a very big bouncy ball. I don't want you using something too large because, again, we want that detail. You know, I'm all about the detail and getting those tissue releases. So these little points, balls, whatever, of tissue, or not of tissue, of marker on my foot are where I want the bouncy ball. So here, 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 there, and there. Like, you get the point, right? So I'm gonna let you take a look at the bottom of my foot here for a second so you can visualize that a little bit better. Okay, so when I'm standing up and showing you how to do this, hopefully this visual will help you figure out where to put the ball on the bottom of your foot. Okay, now that we know what arches we need to work on, I'm gonna put the ball in front of you, and I know I showed you on my right foot, but with as many takes as this has taken, my right foot is good and worked. So I'm gonna use my left foot. It's the same arches that I need to work anyway. So I'm gonna grab that and see, like, at first my feet were staggered a bit. Wanna make sure that your toes, your big toes, are nice and stacked. There's a beautiful line so that they're not staggered. Okay, so I'm gonna find that spot that is on the bottom, goes across here, and then I'm gonna be going down here, again, on the bottom of the foot. So now I'm gonna stand up tall and put my full weight into my foot and try to relax my toes. And breathe. This should hurt pretty significantly. It will only take about 30 seconds to a minute to go from to, okay, that's manageable. Once it's a manageable pain, I want you to move on to the next spot. Okay, and see how my feet are staggered? Make sure that they're stacked. Yep, that's another good spot. So right when I had my foot here, that's tight and it hurts, but it's not the like, that's the those are the noises I want you making when you're doing this. Deep breathing. Less is more with this exercise. The more you stand on it, the more it releases the tissue. We do not want to release your arches. We want to create bounce in them. So less is more with this, okay? Now I'm gonna move on to that lateral arch. Again, getting my feet nice and stacked. And oh my word, barely tolerating this, but that's okay, that's good, that's where we wanna be. And then lastly, that last little spot. So depending on where you need your arches, which arches you need to get worked on, this can take anywhere from a couple of minutes to 5 minutes on each foot, okay? Breathe deeply. That one doesn't hurt too bad. Oh, okay, I found it. Oh. Okay, so again, with this ball exercise, when you're done, just, kind of kick the ball out, move your feet around. With this exercise, every other day is best. Keep an eye on it over the next couple of weeks while you're working on this, and less is more. If you are in doubt, pull off of that spot before you get rid of the pain, okay? I would rather you work your way slowly into this, understanding it completely, rather than collapsing your arches even more.